Hey there everyone, Griff Hamlin. Welcome, thanks for joining me today. In this video, we are going to talk about the blues and pentatonic scales, and one of the biggest problems that I see with a lot of guitar players, and how to hopefully overcome it to a large degree. So the problem is this: most people at a certain stage, you've learned, I'll say, the 5 boxes. And if you're not familiar with the 5 boxes, it's things like this. We have box 1. This would be an A. So we'd be in A minor, the A minor blues scale. And box 2. And so on, box 3. And what happens is a lot of people learn all 5 boxes in that way. And so when it comes time to use them, they always tend to start from the bottom because that's how they've always been practiced, okay? So let's say that, you're playing over a blues and it's in C, all right? And you think, okay, well, I gotta use my C blues scale. So you start here at C. You're playing right there. And you may even already be comfortable with the idea of turning a minor blues scale or pentatonic scale. And pentatonic and blues are the same thing except for this one additional note that we call the blue note. So if you're not already comfortable with the blue note, I'll explain all that shortly. But if I say pentatonic or if I say blues, we're talking about the same thing. So most people, anyway, like I said, you learn the 5 boxes, and then you might even have gotten as far as learning how to turn them into their relative majors. And what I mean by that is, for every minor, for A minor, for example, this is also C major. If you simply change your point of view and make this note be the root, now it's C major blues, okay? And so, a lot of people, myself included, use box 2 as the sort of home base because it happens to start on that note. Okay? And that's all well and good, except that solos don't work that way. And the reality is that, like, if you're in a jam or you're playing and you start doing a solo, and let's say that you're in the key of C, right? And you find yourself here. Okay, well, you're kind of in the middle of nowhere. Okay, you're not at the 6th string where you happen to know where things start. You're nowhere near the 8th fret on the 6th string anymore, and that's the only home base you've got, okay? That's the problem. The solution is you have to learn where the root notes are, and you have to be able to work off of all the root notes, major and minor, not just the one from box 1 or box 2 that happens to be convenient, okay? And so this is the thing that I see over and over is students get lost. They start soloing, and then they're sort of looking for an anchor point and don't have one anymore. And they just sort of get lost and have to stop and go back to box 1 and kind of start over again. And so it makes the solos obviously sound kind of disjointed. They just don't really go anywhere. So the trick is, obviously, to learn to work around these roots. For example, okay, let's say that I was in the key of C, right? And C, we'll take C minor. Now, the way I look at this is I look at what we call a right facing and a left facing, okay? So if I was at this C right here, the right facing box to me is the one that faces to my right, okay? It's the one that'll use my first finger, okay? Left facing boxes will usually be the 3rd or 4th finger, and the rest of the notes will generally be to the left, okay? This is not a hard and fast science. This is just kind of how I describe them. Pentatonic boxes in general have 2 strings, 2 notes per string. One that you hit with your 1st or 2nd finger, one that you hit with your 3rd or 4th. The 1st or 2nd finger ones are right facing because the rest of the notes go to the right. Now if you're left-handed, this is going to be backwards, and I apologize, it's just not meant that way. However, while you'd get a different result, the exercise that I'm about to show you and the idea would still work. You'll just get a different result. And that's okay. It'll totally work. Okay? So let's say that I find myself at the root, at the 6th string C, and I find myself here with my first finger, and I want to play a minor sound. Well, that happens to be easy, because it's box 1, and I know it's box 1, all right? What if I wanted a left-facing sound right here? Okay, well, if I know that that's my root, the next box down that way is box 5. Right? And so that's fairly easy. But what would happen if I wanted a 5th string root? Okay, well, I can't use box 1 because box 1 in C minor is here. So I got to figure out what box is in this region. And so I know that this is box 1, this is box 5. This region looks like box 4. Okay, so I would want to make sure that I can play box 4 starting and ending here on my C. Now if I wanted a left facing option from here, since my right facing was box 4, the left one will be box 3. And that totally works too. Or I could do it up here. And what if I wanted, what if I was a 4th string root? So again, I'm here at C, but I'm a 4th string root, and let's say I needed a right-facing pattern. I find myself in the middle of my solo. I've been playing around, and all of a sudden I find that my first finger is near or on this C right here, and I need to know where to go. That's box 2. If I happen to find that my 3rd finger is there, or my 4th finger, and I need a left-facing pattern, it's going to be box 1. And that's all well and good, but what happens if, and of course I could do the same thing on the 3rd string and the 2nd string and the 1st string. And I encourage you to work these things out for yourself, and it's important to work these things out for yourself. Super important, okay? The other thing though is, what if I was doing major sounds, right? So what if again, if I was in the key of C, but what if I did the same drill where I said, well, I find myself here at a C and I need a major sound and I need it to go to the right. Okay, well that's kind of box 2 territory. Right? And if I needed it to go to the left, the next box down would be box 1. And you can hear that definitely has that C major sound, right? What if I was at the 2nd string? What if I was at this C here, and all of a sudden I needed a major sound? I find myself here, but I don't know what to do. I need a major sound. I gotta find a major box in this region. Well, I know that box 2 would be here. That means this would be box 3. That means I'd be in box 4. There's the note I was searching for. So there it is. There's my major sound. Okay? And like I said, this goes on and on and on and on. As you can choose any random note, right? You can choose any random string to find that note on. You can choose whether you need a left or a right facing, and you could choose whether you needed a major or a minor sound. Okay, now I actually did a video once upon a time where I kind of discussed this whole thing. I called it Learning Your Boxes Narrow and Deep. And the way I described it there is very similar to the way I'm describing it now, but I'm going a little bit more in depth. The main thing here, though, is that you have to learn these boxes really inside and out. These patterns are the language of blues. And the better you can just see them on your fretboard, the less you're going to have to think about how to play the things that you want to play. Okay, so I often talk about, hows and whats, and you might decide, oh, this would be so cool if I could play like a C major sound right now, but you look down and you don't see it. So it's gone. You're not gonna be able to play that. You don't want to have that happen. You want to be able to think to yourself, oh, here comes that chord. I want to grab a C major sound, and you look down and there it is. You just see it. Okay. And the best way to do that, I suggested in that narrow and deep video the use of flashcards. Well, what happened was one of my students actually wrote a little program, and I took it and made it look a little bit nicer. Had somebody put some cool graphics in it, and actually I embellished it a little bit more too. So what this program does, and I've put it on a web page, and it's free. You're welcome to use it, and I encourage you to do so. But what it'll do is it will basically be flashcards. It will randomly choose a note, a string, major or minor, and a direction, left or right. And you get to go try and find it. Now it has another button. The button that chooses the cards is deal. Deal you a set of cards, right? You can try it for yourself, but if you can't figure it out, there's a hint button. If you hit the hint button, it will show a picture of the guitar fretboard, and you can see exactly where you're supposed to be. What's important about this, if you don't really know the stuff yet, just hit the hint right away and take a look at it, and it'll show you what you need to know. And the minor root notes in each box are labeled in, the root notes are all labeled in red, depending on whether you need major or minor. The blue notes are labeled in blue, so you can see the differences between the minor pentatonic and the minor blues scale, the major pentatonic and the major blues scale. After working with this for a little while, I think you'll start to see a lot of patterns and a lot of similarities. And this can really, really, really open up your soloing to a large degree, because you're no longer having to spend so much time thinking about, how do I find this sound? I need a minor sound in A flat. Where is it? I don't know. That's going to kill your soloing like nothing else. So it's super, super important to be able to find what you need when you need it. And I hope this tool will help you do that. So enjoy, and I hope you've got something out of this lesson in general, aside from the tool. And I will try and leave a link to the tool near this video, or this video may in fact be on the page with the tool. But enjoy it, and again, I'm Griff Hamlin, and I look forward to talking to you soon.